So this is one of those forums where you raise questions and talk about it. So there's nothing fancy in this video except raising the question about having church service on Christmas Day. And this individual is disappointed, no church service on Christmas Day. And they want to maybe find another church that will honor Christmas Day. So there's a lot of discussion here, and of course this individual here responds and says basically that Christmas Eve services sort of take the place of Christmas Day. And there was a time when Christmas Eve services were held at 11 p.m. so that you could say, yes, I was in church on Christmas Day, as the service would approach its end at midnight. Over the years that I was pastor, most of the time Christmas Eve services started at about 7:30 p.m. The last 10 years of my pastoring, they reduced the time. And one church that I served in Virginia, they went all the way down till 6 p.m., then they changed it to 5 p.m. Now I know of a church right now that they're holding a Christmas Eve service at 2 p.m. So it's not really Christmas Eve. The reason I'm bringing all this up is I had an experience years and years ago. I was walking my dog around the church on Christmas Day. Now, we did not have a service on Christmas Day, but we had a Christmas Eve service, and it was not Sunday. And I was preparing to go to my family's home and visit with family on Christmas Day. And one car pulled into the parking lot, then another car pulled into the parking lot, and then another. And there was 5 cars. And they all got out and came to the door of the church, expecting to find something on Christmas Day at the church. Now, as Providence would have it, that is, as God would so arrange the circumstances, I was walking my dog around the church. And of course, I greeted the individuals, and then I opened the door of the church so they could come in. And I discovered that this was a group that had just arrived in the United States, and they were from India. And they were curious about Christianity. And in particular, they were curious about a church service on Christmas Day. Now, I do not believe they were Christians. They probably were Hindus who had an interest in Jesus. And I would say that there was about 25 of them. So I gave them a tour of the church, talked to them about Christmas, and explained the gospel of Jesus Christ to them. So I'm just asking the question, should not the doors of the church be open on Christmas Day? Now I know the response is this, oh, everybody needs to be with their family. I'm not against that. But what about a witness on Christmas Day? All these so-called Christmas Eve services are actually being held at times not even sure that it can be qualified as a Christmas Eve. And it does not extend into Christmas Day. Are you being a literalist? Are you being a Pharisee? Are you being judgmental? I'm trying not to be, and the only reason I'm making this video is because I had that experience of a large number of Hindus coming to a Christian church on Christmas Day. And they would have been disappointed had God not so arranged that I was walking my dog around the outskirts of the church and I greeted them. So we have a lot of confusion, and particularly when there is Christmas Eve on a Saturday and Christmas Day on a Sunday. Now that one caused quite a bit of consternation and controversy in the last church that I served, because there was a movement to say, well, we're having a Christmas Eve service, so therefore we don't need to have a Sunday service. Well, as far as for me, I would come on a Sunday on Christmas and have a church service if there was only one or two present. That's who I am. But many times people want to shortcut God, and they introduce this concept into the church as if God wants you to hurry up, and it's such an obligation to come to church, and especially on a Sunday when the Sunday is Christmas Day. So you can see the variety of expressions here about one service, two services. If you have a good Christmas Eve service, do you really need to have a church service on Sunday if Christmas Day is Sunday? But I was deeply touched on that Sunday, or on that day, not a Sunday, when these visitors who were just arrived in the United States from India and wanted to come to a Christian service on Christmas Day, and we were not holding a service. So I did kind of a personal service for them on that particular day, and they wanted to celebrate, or at least get some idea of what it meant for Christians to be in church on Christmas Day. I know there are mixed thoughts and mixed feelings on this, but as far as for me, we can't hold enough church services. And I think the devil's behind the idea of cutting church services so people will get more secularized in this world. What do you think? And this has just been a talk, not really something to that you can get too wound up about as far as like content and teaching, but I just wanted to let you know that there are people out there who do want to have a service on Christmas Day. And I remember in the earlier times, in the 80s and even early 90s, there were many churches that actually did have services on Christmas Day. But I think many churches have dropped that and eliminated the idea of a church service on the day that we regard as very holy, that is Christmas Day. Thank you for listening. This concludes my rambling and the video.